Hello, I'm Hannah, and this is Hannah's Books. For Tag Tuesday last week, I made a video talking about my reading plans for 2025 and combined that discussion with my answers to a great tag put together by Kevin Toll, the New Year, New Me book tag. When James of the lovely channel Quaint and Curious Volumes was tagged, he started feeling a little uneasy. As he explains, the new year doesn't make a new him. So he created a brilliant, grumpy edit of Kevin's tag, the New Year Same Old Me tag. And his tag is an excellent addition. And James was kind enough to tag me. So even though it's not Tag Tuesday, let's give this one a go today. Prompt number 1, regrets. What is one book from your 2024 list that you regret reading or that haunts you? Interesting question. I don't regret anything that I've read, although I definitely read some pretty silly or trite things that might have prevented me from reading things I might have appreciated more in the long term. But those silly things often brought me a lot of pleasure and sometimes comfort. I don't think I've read anything truly horrible in 2024. I did, though, in my first few years on BookTube, always for print reviews, not BookTube. I definitely hate-reviewed a couple of books. One was Claire Tomalin's biography, The Young H.G. Wells, which I hated, and I'll link to that review down in the description box. As for haunting, well, if we use haunting in a really positive sense, I think I could name Henry James' The Portrait of a Lady. Just to make it clear, I am absolutely glad I read this book, and read it as a buddy read with the amazing Roz at Scallydandling About the Books. It was my first reading of the novel, and I haven't talked about it on this channel yet, I don't think, but I will this year, maybe. I have another James novel, a specific novel that I want to read before I talk about him as an author. Portrait of a Lady has moments that are funny and others that are tender, but also a lot of moments that are complicated and haunting. I'm also still a little wrapped up in the idea that Portrait of a Lady is sort of a reworking, at least in some ways, of George Eliot's Daniel Deronda. And I really need to reread them both side by side to play that out more in my head. Prompt number 2, Penitence. What is the one book on your 2024 reading goals that you feel guilty for not reading? The one book? How about one of the books you didn't read? Well, guilty might not be exactly the right word, but I so wish I had read Hermione Lee's biography of Edith Wharton. It was on my December reading list, and my busy social calendar made me pick up some short books instead of that doorstopper. I think I might pick it up quite soon, so perhaps it will be a 2025 read. The third prompt, The Albatross. Are there any books you had on your 2024 TBR? Excuse that cut, but I had... The third prompt, The Albatross. The third prompt, The Albatross. The Albatross, which I have been trying to say 10 times without giggling. Are there any books you had on your 2024 TBR that you are glad to say you won't read in 2025? I must say I'm glad Faulkner's As I Lay Dying is not on my list again this year. It had been at least a decade since the last time I read it, and I really think it might be a great idea for me to wait about that long before it goes on another TBR. I highly recommend Faulkner's book. It's powerful, but it's also kind of psychologically exhausting. Number 4, Pruning. Have any 2024 books led you to reconsider any long-term reading projects? I've never really had a true long-term reading project. I thought I was going to follow a small little one book a month plan for a particular topic during 2024. but I never got started, never committed to the project. I did take some notes on it, and it might appear in 2026. I'll keep quiet about it for now. The sixth prompt, the scapegoat. Are there any formerly favorite authors that you are not going to read in 2025? I don't know if I have any formerly favorite authors, really. Can I flip the question around a bit? That really does feel fair in a tag like this, right? Okay, are there any authors you thought you might never read or never read again that you're thinking about reading in 2025? Why, yes, there are. Funny you should ask. I think I'm going to read a bit of Theodore Dreiser later this year, and perhaps Sinclair Lewis, and maybe even William Dean Howells. In my previous video, a few of you convinced me to read some of the first two authors as part of my American project. I'd love to hear from more of you who've read their work. Onwards, prompt 7, stay the course. Is there a series that you started last year that you might complete this year? No, I don't think so. I'm not much of a series reader. Actually, there's one series I began not during 2024, but earlier, that I intend to continue at some point, and that's Anthony Trollope's Barsetshire series. I loved The Warden, and I am baffled how I have not read the rest of the books in the series. I suppose I might choose Barchester Towers in October, but because of my project this year, focusing on American literature, I think I'll be putting off the rest of the Barset books, perhaps until 2026. Prompt 8, breaking walls. Do you have a non-book-related goal for 2025 you wish to share? This question is one that Kevin asked as well, and I don't have any huge additions to make here. I guess I could mention that right around the turning of the year, I stopped making coffee each morning. Not in an effort to give up coffee, much less caffeine, but to start working through my rather enormous collection of tea at a faster clip than I was doing when tea was relegated to the afternoon or evening. Obviously, this is not a very serious New Year's resolution, and perhaps for that very reason, it is going well. I'm going out for brunch with a friend this weekend, and I'm rather looking forward to having my first cup of coffee since the morning of New Year's Day. Prompt 9, teamwork. This also echoes Kevin's tag, but of course it's also based on every other BookTube tag, that is, tag people. I know James tagged a lot of folks, so I'll go through his list and see if I can come up with a list of my own, which I'll link to below in the description box. Well, thank you, James, for your down-to-earth twist on Kevin's hopeful tag. Thanks for tagging me too. And, of course, thanks to all of you for joining me today here on Hannah's Books. See you soon.